Back, the big breaking news we're tracking at this hour. Twin terror attacks reported in the heart of London that have claimed at least 6 lives, and 3 suspected attackers have also been killed. And now some reports suggest that ISIS has claimed responsibility for these attacks. We will of course wait to see what the London authorities, the police and the government have to say, but media reports at the moment seem to suggest that ISIS has claimed responsibility for the twin attacks in central London, which began on London Bridge as a van mowed down several pedestrians, and men armed with knives came running out of the van to attack people. And then there was an incident in the neighboring Borough Market, where inside a cafe, a man stabbed at least 2 people with a big knife. As we said, according to the Metropolitan Police, at least 6 people have lost their lives and 3 suspected attackers have also been killed. The British Prime Minister has called an emergency Cobra meeting, and as we said, even though we're waiting for a confirmation of this from the authorities, but at the moment it looks like ISIS is claiming responsibility for the attack. 3 attackers have been shot dead and 6 people have lost their lives. All right, for more on this, let's now go across to my colleague Saurav Sanyal, who joins us on the phone line. Saurav, the British Metropolitan Police, they're confirming that at least 6 people have been killed and 3 suspected attackers have also been shot dead.
Well, that's right, Neha. In fact, news that's coming in from London suggests that, at least 6 people are now confirmed dead. 6 civilians have lost their life due to this dastardly act of terror. And 3 of the suspects have also been eliminated, as you rightly pointed out. But the big piece of news that you just put out on air is essentially that ISIS claiming responsibility for these terror attacks. Because, this comes just a few days after we saw what happened in Manchester prior to the concert, after the concert of Ariana Grande got over, where the concert was, it was a full house essentially, where the concert was happening in Manchester. Subsequently, there was complete mayhem and chaos on the streets of Manchester there. And now, within just a matter of days, we see another attack, in fact, twin attack, essentially, where we see that, there have been instances of stabbing that have been reported. Also, essentially, we have seen that how a van has mowed down pedestrians there on the London Bridge. So, London clearly on a state of, a very, very precarious situation. We have seen that Theresa May has already called an emergency meeting there, and Theresa May has, convened a special meeting with all senior officials, not just of the police but of the administration as well, who have essentially come together to see that how London and people living in London, Londoners, can be safeguarded from further attacks. So the British police clearly has gone into this damage control mode now, because this is something that has evoked widespread condemnation from across the world, with world leaders also joining in. This terror attack in London clearly it points to a very, very sinister design that possibly that the ISIS and the Islamic extremists have in their mind, because they remember, Neha, that they are talking of setting up an Islamic caliphate, and this is their way of sending their message to the world that, under whatever come what may, that ISIS is not going to be bowed down. But the world leaders are committed to ensure that, yes, ISIS and all its tentacles can actually be uprooted, and so that, people living across the world can actually, live in peace. Because we see these repeated acts of terror. Here, at least 20 people have been taken to hospitals across London after this terrorist attack on London Bridge at the Borough Market. And London Ambulance Services has already said that in a statement. Meanwhile, India has also offered all assistance. World leaders have joined in condemnation of this dastardly act of terror. And the police in London were dealing with what appeared to be a coordinated terrorist attack, is what we are getting to hear now from London, on at least 2 locations. And this happened late on Saturday night, which was about 3:30 Indian Standard Time. So 3:30 at night Indian Standard Time is when the attacks took place. Now, this happened after a van mowed down pedestrians on London Bridge, and a knife attack was reported in a cafe nearby. And eyewitnesses we spoke with, our colleague spoke with in London, clearly said that there was predictably a lot of panic on the streets of London as the attacks unfolded in the vicinity of a major transport hub and in an area packed with restaurants and bars. So clearly, we now know that this is where it stands. We'll get you more details as and when, but let's quickly listen in, Neha, to some reactions coming in from London.
All right. Thanks very much, Saurav, for getting us those details. We will come back to you later for more. At this point, let's also go across to Kamar Aga, Foreign Affairs Analyst, joining us on the phone line. Mr. Aga, how do you react to the incidents that we witness unfolding in London as we speak? The third terror attack to have struck the UK this year alone. And as we speak, we're told at least 6 people have been killed in twin terror incidents.
These are the lone bombers, who were trained either by the ISS, or they have gone to Syria from England, and particularly from London. A large number of Muslim young boys and even girls have gone to Syria, and where they have taken, and some of them have come back, and they are involved in these sort of activities. ISS have able to establish its sleeper cell also in Europe, in Europe, and then it looks is one of them. And these are the people, they have local support also of some of these centers, so-called Islamic centers, which are running over there for a very long period of time. It should be condemned, it's a very sad incident, innocent people are being killed in the name of religion or in the name of Islam, which is very sad. And London is one of the very important center, especially the financial hub of the world, and it will have an impact on the business and other things also. So it's a deliberate attempt. They are trying to do. They are under pressure in Syria and Iraq. So now they are moving towards. Second thing, I just want to add one thing. This will continue as long as there are countries, like Pakistan. There are other countries also in the Middle East who are using these militants to gain influence in the region, or they are being used in the sectarian conflict also. This has to be stopped. I mean, they should be told. And there are groups who are negotiating with them, they distinguish between good terrorists and bad terrorists. All these things should be, the time has come, the international community should unite and take united action against all the militant groups. Militancy has to be eradicated totally.
Of course, whether countries like Pakistan can be expected to seriously crack down on terror still remains a million-dollar question. But thanks, Mr. Aga, for sharing your perspective with us. At this point, let's also go across to Arsen Singh, a defense expert who joins us on the phone line. Mr. Singh, the third terror strike in the UK this year. Now, what's particularly worrying about the new wave of terror attacks that we've witnessed in several parts of the world, especially the West over the last couple of years, including in London, is the fact that you've had several lone wolf attacks, even though they've been claimed by ISIS in most cases. Fact of the matter is that this presents a huge challenge to authorities anywhere in the world. One or a small group, either one individual or a small group of people who determined to go around killing people, and all they need is sometimes a vehicle and a knife.
Yeah, these are basically ideological attacks. I mean, motivated by a kind of religious ideology. And, well, it was Kabul, then Philippines, then London now. So it covers Asia, Southeast Asia, and Europe. So one common link factor is the ideology, and it is not going to die down. Let me tell you, it's not going to die down. I mean, you may wish, you and I may wish anything. It will go to its conclusion, but before that, it will take a very heavy toll on mankind, because we have done the mistake of not going into the religious underpinnings of various terrorist attacks. It is no good saying that so and so religion is a religion of peace. I mean, you may say that, but it doesn't help. People continue getting killed. Does your saying this make a difference?
Come in here and ask you a question. You've had immediate condemnation from several world leaders such as Donald Trump. But in the same breath, Donald Trump, brings up that entire controversial issue of the ban that he imposed on several Muslim countries. The question at the end of the day is, how do countries around the world deal with such threat? Because clearly the kind of things that somebody like a Donald Trump has proposed cannot be expected to work as far as this war on terror is concerned.
See, I mean, each country has its own problem as far as Islamic terror is concerned. We are facing our own brand of Islamic terror. And remember, I mean, the worst that could happen to us was when, Hindus in the Kashmir Valley were hounded out. And then you keep saying that Islam is a religion of peace, Islam is a religion of peace. Please, for God's sake, ask those 500,000 Hindus who were, dislocated and, exhorted.
All right.
So ask them whether it is So we have to face it squarely and prepare counter ideologies. Otherwise, I mean, it's a war of ideologies, let me tell you.
All right, Mr. Singh, thanks very much for joining us and sharing your views with us. Let's, in fact, now bring our viewers up to speed with what's been happening in London. The Metropolitan Police have confirmed that at least 6 people have been killed in the twin terror attacks that have been reported in the heart of London, and 3 suspected attackers have also been shot dead. Let's listen in to some reactions that we are getting from London.
Our current belief is that there were 3 attackers, but this is early on, so we've still got some inquiries to work through to be completely confident about that.
All right, that was the Metropolitan Police talking about 6 people having been killed and 3 attackers having been shot dead by the police following those terror attacks. Now, US President Donald Trump, who earlier tweeted to express his condolences as well as condemnation of this attack, has now called British Prime Minister Theresa May to offer his condolences, describing this as a brutal terror attack. Of course, he has said that in this difficult hour, the US stands with the UK and will offer any assistance the UK may need at this stage. Of course, there is the Cobra meeting where a security situation will be taken stock of. Let's go back to my colleague Saurav Sanyal, who joins us once again on the phone line with more on that story. Saurav, of course, Theresa May getting ready to chair that emergency meeting, but Donald Trump, after tweeting his condolences and condemnation of the attacks, has now also picked up the phone and made a call to the UK Prime Minister.
Well, that's right, Neha. In fact, Donald Trump has spoken. It was a long chat that he had with British Prime Minister Theresa May. And yes, as you rightly pointed out, that initially he had put out his tweet offering his condolences, and then he had condemned this dastardly act of terror. And now is this statement that we have accessed from the White House. This is a readout essentially of the conversation that President Trump had with Theresa May. And if I could just draw your attention over here to the points that have been raised in this conversation, and I quote over here from the statement that has come in from the White House, that President Donald Trump spoke with Prime Minister Theresa May of the United Kingdom today. The President offered his condolences for the brutal terror attacks on June 3rd in central London. He praised the heroic response of the police and other first responders, and offered the full support of United States government in investigating and bringing those responsible for these heinous acts to justice. So there, Donald Trump standing firmly by Theresa May, offering full support as far as the U.S. administration goes. Donald Trump there not merely stopping at tweeting, but actually picking up the phone, as you rightly pointed out, and then speaking with Theresa May and assuring full support there as far as investigations into these dastardly acts are concerned.
Right, sort of Donald Trump there promising all possible help to Theresa May, but you will recall recently there was a major controversy after the Manchester terror attack when intelligence that was shared by the UK with America actually got leaked to the media and was reported in New York Times, and the UK police had at that time said that they believed this was going to actually hamper their investigations into the Manchester terror attack. So there has been that controversy in the recent past as far as coordination and cooperation between the two countries on terror is concerned, and also Donald Trump making that controversial remark once again referring to the earlier order that he'd issued banning immigrants from 7 Muslim countries.
Well, that's right, Neha. As you rightly put it in perspective there, yes, there was that element of controversy as far as the Manchester attacks was concerned. But the memory of Manchester attacks, Neha, is very, very fresh in minds of Londoners there, in the minds of Britishers. And we saw that how the world had reacted with shock when the news broke of the attacks in Manchester after that Ariana Grande concert. Incidentally, what is very, very significant is that Ariana Grande was supposed to be hosting another concert, and this attack in London, in central London, has come in just on the eve of her concert. So is there a direct link there? That is also something that the British police is investigating, because she was organizing this concert essentially to try and, raise money for the victims over there, to try as a kind of a tribute, a concert in tribute. Remember that Ariana Grande had tweeted and put out a statement that all her other concerts in different parts of the world, in other major cities, they stood cancelled. So all those concerts were cancelled, but she was about to perform in this concert, which was essentially a tribute concert, so to say. But now we see that once again, through 2 attacks, not 1, but 2 attacks there in central London, in a very, very busy area of the Borough Market. As
also,
well as
very quickly, sort of, not only is this the 3rd terror attack to have struck the United Kingdom this year, I think what's also important to remember is that the UK votes in a crucial general election just 4 days from now.
Well, absolutely. That is the very, very significant. In fact, it's UK elections where Theresa May essentially is going to the voters asking for a re-election there. So we see that while on one hand there is a campaign pitch that has gone up to a crescendo, on the other hand we have these attacks coming in where the entire energy of the government, the British government, they're being channelized towards ensuring that people of the country are safe and sound, that there are no untoward incidents going forward, because these 2 attacks have come literally back to back, Neha. First was Manchester, and now these 2 attacks that have happened in very quick succession late last night. So clearly, Theresa May under a lot of pressure there. But then the good news is, at least the silver lining is that the entire world there seems to be standing with Theresa May. And why not? Here we have Donald Trump and other world leaders as well who are offering the full support as far as investigations and probe is concerned in this. We already know that the ISIS has claimed responsibility for these attacks, and we now know that 6 civilians have lost their lives. So what will really lead to an end of this cycle of violence is something that all world leaders are now deliberating on.
Right, and this attack also sort of comes just days after the attack in Philippines at a Manila resort that also lost in the loss of lives. Where will this end, really? That is a question on everyone's mind. Thanks very much, Saurav, for joining us with all those details. Let's, in fact, now get you some latest updates from London.
Well, the latest assault happened when the UK threat level was severe in the wake of recent terror activity. Just over a week ago, Prime Minister Theresa May warned that more attacks in the country were likely.
Threat level should be increased for the time being, from severe to critical. This means that their assessment is not only that an attack remains highly likely, but that a further attack may be imminent.
Well, she made that statement after a suicide bombing at a pop concert at Manchester Arena 2 weeks ago. Salman Abedi, a British citizen, detonated an improvised explosive device at one of the exits, killing 22 people and injuring almost 60. Several of those killed were children. Shortly afterwards, Prime Minister Theresa May raised the threat level to critical. And the Manchester extremist came from the Moss Side area of the city. The district has become notorious for radicalisation, with at least 16 residents known to have connections with terror groups. RT's Issa Ali went there to investigate.
This is Moss Side in Manchester. It was once known for gang violence, but in recent years has cleaned up and is now full of families living and getting on with their lives. Since the conflict in Syria and Libya began, the area has also been known to be home to at least 16 men who have either been arrested or killed fighting for the so-called Islamic State. This is the local neighborhood mosque.
All right, so the latest from London is that 6 people have been killed and 3 suspected attackers also shot dead by the Metropolitan Police in London. Of course, the entire city is on high alert. The British Prime Minister Theresa May has called for an emergency meeting. US President Donald Trump spoke to her a short while ago, expressing his condolences, condemning the attacks, describing them as brutal and offering all possible support and assistance to the UK at this hour. And chillingly, you would recall just 2 weeks ago when that horrific Manchester attack took place during an Ariana Grande concert, which left 23 people dead. At that time, the British Prime Minister had said that according to intelligence inputs that were available, another terror attack in the UK was imminent, and just 2 weeks after that, those words have turned out to be prophetic, with yet another terror attack being reported in the UK, this time in the heart of London, with at least 6 people losing their lives. But what we do know is that at least 20 people have been taken to hospitals across central London with all kinds of injuries. We'll have to wait and see if the casualty figure rises. At this stage, we know 3 suspected attackers have been shot dead. The police believe that they may have in fact killed all the attackers who were involved in these incidents, and 6 civilians have lost their lives.
People crazy, just they with the knife just push the people and kill it like they don't care about nothing.
You saw that?
Yeah, we was in front of them.
So how many people did you see?
I saw 3, but
3
they
with
say
knives?
it's more than 3. I don't know really how many people.
And how many people did you see injured?
Just 3 in front of us. We work in Borough Market.
So was that 3 with the knives, or was that 3?
Yeah.
Was that 3?
Yeah.
3 with the knives. And how
But
many
I think
people were injured?
3 people. Just in front of us. They don't care about nothing. Just going like this. They said crazy or they are drugs, I don't know.
So what did you...
Yeah.
How badly injured did they look?
What?
How badly injured?
They have mask or something?
No.
Nothing. No, nothing.
I would have said they're youngish males, maybe in mid-20s, maybe a bit younger, all in black. Well, they had like black hoodies, black hair, and yeah, I mean, I saw the backs of them, but it was a heavy police presence. The police weren't, it wasn't the armed police, they looked to me more like riot police. So I didn't see any kind of weapons or anything like that, but there was obviously an arrest and a very heavy police presence there. Well, I was just at a friend's opening this evening, and somebody arrived at the opening. They'd been cycling through London. I think they'd come over London Bridge, and he was really freaked out. He said there's somebody like randomly stabbing people.
Our current belief is that there were 3 attackers, but this is early on, so we've still got some inquiries to work through to be completely confident about that.
The Metropolitan Police there in London confirming that 6 people have been killed and 3 suspected attackers have also been shot dead. The police believe at this moment that they may have killed all the attackers, but we'll have to wait and see how the situation unfolds, because at least 20 people, we're told, have been injured and taken to various hospitals in central London. This is the third major terror attack to have struck the UK this year alone, coming just 2 weeks after the Manchester attack that led to 23 people losing their lives. And at that time, in fact, the British Prime Minister had said another terror attack in the UK was imminent. Of course, she is now going to be chairing a high-level emergency meeting to take stock of the security situation. We'll continue to track all these developments very closely, but at this point, let's slip into a quick break. Related incidents have been reported, which have been described as terrorism. In fact, the first incident taking place on the London Bridge, where a van ploughed through several pedestrians, and then two men armed with knives came rushing out as they slashed several people on the street. And then in the neighbouring Borough Market, inside a cafe, an armed man in fact attacked people with knives. We're told at least 6 people have been killed and 3 suspected attackers have also been shot dead.
And where the lone wolves can be spun by media here to make the British public feel this has nothing to do with British support for Islamist militants right around the world.
Well, the London Metropolitan Police have said they believe all 3 suspects in Saturday night's assault were killed in the police operation. Assistant Commissioner Mark Rowley gave this statement.
So this is a protracted incident that starts on the bridge and finishes in Borough Market, and we believe 3 people were involved, but we've still got some more inquiries to do to be 100% confident in that. We're still dealing with the fact that we suspected that at one stage to the explosives, albeit that's now been ruled out.
Well, as you just heard, the police are not 100% sure yet. There were only 3 attackers. The media have quoted eyewitnesses as saying there were, in fact, 5 terrorists, meaning 2 could potentially still be at large. And just a quick summary for those of you who have just joined us about what happened. A speeding van ploughed into pedestrians on London Bridge soon after 10 p.m. Men armed with knives then stepped out and went on a rampage. They headed south to Borough High Street, where they lashed out at people in an area with several busy restaurants and pubs. Well, we'll bring you further updates from London with live reports from the scene in half an hour. You're watching RT International. Stay tuned.
All right, the latest from London is that at least 6 people have been stabbed to death in central London. 2 terror incidents being reported on London Bridge and the neighbouring Borough Market, an area that was bustling with people as it's a busy area with several restaurants and pubs on a late Saturday night. 2 terror incidents being reported in the heart of London that have led to the killing of at least 6 people. 3 suspected attackers have also been killed, have been shot dead by the police. But could there be more out there? According to some media reports, which are not confirmed at the moment, there could be another 2 men involved, which means that they're perhaps still out there. The incident is ongoing. We're told the police haven't given an all clear yet. The entire city is in a state of high alert. Central London is in the state of highest alert. British Prime Minister Theresa May has called an emergency meeting, and in fact, as we speak, the Indian High Commissioner in London, we're told, has also opened a helpline for to help Indians with any information they may need about this particular attack. Of course, a significant Indian population in London, and the Ministry of External Affairs here in India has put out a helpline number 2. Foreign Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj has tweeted a helpline number, which we are going to be flashing on our screen in just a moment. You can call that number to get any information you may need about your loved ones in London at a time when the city dead. Those were, of course, people who were attending an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester Arena. All right, we have been getting reactions from the Metropolitan Police in London as well as several eyewitnesses. Let's listen into some of those accounts.
What happened?
Literally, our police came in, basically asked us to leave.
So armed police go into the bar that you run.
Yes.
And was there a sense of urgency? Were they calm?
Yes, they pointed guns at everyone.
What was it like? Tell me. So how many of them were there?
I don't know.
For about five. Maybe 5, 6 flashbangs went off.
Come in and put our arms up. And they escorted us across the run. It's all ran. From the window, we see someone giving CPR to someone. We weren't hearing out the window from the bar.
From the bar, yeah.
And the people on the floor. So we saw that CPR, but
were they on the street or?
Yeah, they were on the street. They're on the corner of Suburb Bridge Road.
So where the traffic light is?
Yeah, the traffic light right on the corner.
That's the bar.
So you saw, how many people did you see on the ground?
Like one, I think one chap was there.
It was a little window trying to look out of it.
Well, I was on under Southwark Bridge, and then police told us to run, and they had their shields up, and then they arrested a guy next to me on the bridge.
What did he look like?
Just with a hood.
He had a hood on?
Yeah.
Anything else? Like?
I didn't really see. I mean, I tried Snapchatting it, but I don't know, I was just being told to run.
I work in the bar, so it was like, we heard people, I even heard one guy coming to me and was asking me, oh, I need a drink, innit? He looked shaken up and everything because he was outside.
Did he tell you what he saw?
Yeah.
What did he see?
He saw a guy, a holy guys, yeah, coming out, Muslim, coming out and stabbing people, running people over, yeah, and come with a rifle. And a rifle as well, and just letting off shots.
So the same guys from the white van?
Yes, come out with a rifle and started just letting off shots and stabbing people and running people over.
So all in the same kind of area and coming from the same van?
Coming from the same van. No, some was in the van and one was on the road and another person was on the road. So one person had a knife and another person had a gun.
All right, those are eyewitness accounts that we are getting from London, people talking about what they saw as those horrific twin terror attacks unfolded in the heart of London, attacks that have led to the killing of at least 6 people. So what do we know so far? Let's quickly recap the main events for you. This began on London Bridge in the heart of London when a van mowed down several pedestrians as it sped across London Bridge in the British capital late Saturday night, leaving several bodies lying in the street. Nearby, a man with a massive knife entered a restaurant at Borough Market just south of the bridge, stabbing 2 people inside. These are the twin terror attacks that have been reported in London. 6 people have been killed. 3 suspected attackers have been shot dead by the police. Remember, this is the 3rd terror attack to have struck the UK this year. After a man drove a car into pedestrians on Westminster Bridge in March this year, and of course the bomb attack on an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester just 2 weeks ago that had left 23 people dead. Eyewitnesses, of course, have reported seeing a van ploughing through several pedestrians on London Bridge, and there was a knife attack inside a cafe in the popular Borough Market that was bustling with people who, in fact, were thronging several restaurants, bars and pubs on Saturday night. The area was, in fact, crammed with people and party goers. It being a Saturday night, what the London Metropolitan Police has so far confirmed is that at least 6 people have been killed and 3 suspected attackers have been shot dead. What we don't know at the moment is whether there are more people who may have been involved in these episodes. At the moment, we know 3 attackers have been killed. Some reports seem to suggest maybe there were another 2 involved, and the police are perhaps on their lookout. The London police not confirming it at this moment. The British Prime Minister, who's described this as a terrible incident and a potential act of terrorism, has convened an emergency Cobra meeting, which he will be chairing a short while from now. US President Donald Trump tweeted his condolences and then, in fact, picked up the phone and also spoke to British Prime Minister Theresa May to express his condolences and to condemn the attack, calling it brutal, barbaric and terrible, and also, of course, expressing all support and and saying that the US is with the UK in this difficult hour and willing to cooperate in every way possible. All right, so what more do we know at this point? What we do know is that twin terror attacks were reported in the heart of London late Saturday night, early morning India time, of course, but it was late Saturday night in London. This was the heart of the city, a busy area that was bustling with revelers and party goers on a Saturday night. Several pubs, bars and restaurants in that area of Borough Market, where in fact in one particular cafe we're told a man armed with a big knife entered and slashed two people, stabbing them to death. Minutes before this, a van had ploughed into several pedestrians on London Bridge, with at least two men armed with knives then coming out of that van and slashing people as they ran through the streets. Several bodies found lying there. 6 we know have been killed so far, but according to the Metropolitan Police, dozens others have been injured and taken to at least 6 different hospitals in the heart of London, which means that the casualty figures could in fact rise. And as we speak, the Indian High Commissioner in London has opened a helpline for Indians who may be looking for information about their loved ones in London. We are flashing that helpline number at the bottom of our screen. If you have loved ones in London and are worried about their well-being, you can reach out to the Indian High Commission and call that number for any information that you may want. Well, we'll of course continue to closely track all the developments in London for you. The city in a state of high alert. The third terror attack to have struck the UK this year. But for now,